I've been thinking about aging with strength for a long time because I have a 10-year-old daughter. I'm 59, so I'm an older dad. And, I really love being a dad. And I want to be able to be active with my daughter when she's 30, 35, 40. That means I'm like 80 to 90 years old. And I don't want her pushing me around in some chair with wheels. I want to be able to walk to the diner or to the library with her. I want to be active and fit. So I started thinking, well, how do I do this? How do I age with strength? And strength doesn't just mean physical. It means obviously cognitive, strength. Dementia and other cognitive neurodegenerative diseases are a real issue. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to need help getting up from a chair or the bathroom, or the toilet. How do I eat properly so that I grew up in the Chicago suburbs? I go from being like burger and fries dad to being Mediterranean diet dad, or vegetarian on 3 days a week dad. Somebody that's going to that whose diet isn't going to be a hindrance, but actually be a tailwind in
Mm,
my longevity
yeah.
journey, shall we say. So all of these things I've been thinking about, and I decided, you know what? If I'm thinking about it, 10,000 people a week in the United States are turning 60 now. I mean, it's an enormous amount of people. It could be a day, like, I don't know, but it's a lot of people who are like, we are an aging society. And so if I'm thinking about this stuff, there are other people also thinking about it. And I have the tools by virtue of my you know, uh, investigative reporting skills to, as you graciously introduced me as, somebody who can separate the bullshit, of which there is a, a massive amount of longevity bullshit, by credible people with MD after their names, even. There's
Yeah.
a lot of bullshit and a lot of half truths about supplements, about what you should do, and there's financial interests that are not being acknowledged by a lot of influencers. So I was somebody who could detect that bullshit and write about it, and also write about my own journey, as someone who I've been weight training since I was 12, because in 7th grade John Allen threatened to beat me up before the end of the year was out, and I took him seriously. I remember it. He said literally, "Zielbauer, I'm going to beat your ass before the end of the year." And I was like, "Okay, John." And I went home and I was like, "Shit, what do I do?" Like, this guy's huge.
Yeah. Gotta
So
start doing something.
so I would start, I was like lifting those sand filled plastic weights at home, like this weight set I asked my parents to get me for Christmas. And so my point is, I've been weight training for 47 years now. I've had 7 orthopedic surgeries because I've overdone it. And, every person's body is asymmetric. So I've just gone overboard. And so I've learned I've sort of gone through the fire of doing the work. In college, people asked me if I was a bodybuilder, and I was like, no, dude, I'm just going to the gym. So I obviously, achieved a lot of physical fitness as a lifelong soccer player too, but then my body started breaking down in my 40s and 50s with the surgeries, like shoulder, knee, biceps tendon tears, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm at the point where, and this is kind of hopefully answering your question, is just being able to understand what to do and what not to do, and whose advice to take and whose advice to dismiss, and understanding of the reasons, and the factors that go into aging with strength in all those different ways.